I'm Dr. Mary Keah. I'm a wife, a mom, especially a doctor, and I'm an entrepreneur.
Born in a family of politicians, excellence was the only way to keep up and stand out. At 32 years old, Dr. Mary Keah Otieno is balancing life as a wife and mother, a practicing doctor, and an entrepreneur who's passionate about men's health and grooming.
Well, becoming a doctor, that was life. That was, without an excuse, the only thing I ever wanted to be from, I think, coming out of birth. But I can say it's one of those dreams you just hold on to from when you're young, that you want to be a doctor, you want to help people, you want to be great. And I can say that came to completion in 2011. And it's been a great journey since then. I'm currently pursuing a master's in public health, and that's from Cambridge, but it's a collaboration with JKU. And I work at Nairobi South Hospital, which is in South Sea. Initially, you ask yourself, will I get the grades? So when KCSE results come out and you're like, will I really make it? And you apply and you actually get into the program. That was one of my joys. And secondly, what comes as a challenge, the transition from public sector to private sector. I work in the private sector, and you realize when you move, there's so much different. It's like the healthcare is not the same between the public and the private. That's one of my biggest challenges even up to date that I still deal with. I've always wanted to be a doctor from when I was growing up. But in 2005, I lost my dad to prostate cancer. And it was actually very tragic and horrific at the hospital bed. Hear him tell me, you know what, Mats, everything is going to be okay, and everything will always be okay. Not that today I could have changed the results of what his health was, but I feel that it is my initiative or my own way of helping the community. So I always make it my primary goal to always figure out what has brought that patient to me. And that is what I can say has really built me. There was a year in med school, like almost half of the class failed. And I was among them. And I remember going back to my mom and telling her, wow, it's harder than I thought. It's not possible. Maybe I should just choose something else and move on from there. But she told me something. She told me that every step that you make, every failure that you make is towards the right direction. Just take it up as an opportunity for you to do better. So I went back, sat the exam, and from then on it was straight until I graduated. Yeah. And I come from a lineage of politicians. My dad, my grandfather. So they always talked of how when you go out there, shine, you have to be great. So from when we were young, we would always be told, come tell people, come sing, come talk about yourself. So always growing up, it's always been an issue about you have to put yourself out there. So I think coming from a background of politicians, it has given me the confidence that I need to succeed today. I think everything that you go through in life, it was destined to be, and it was supposed to be. So I wouldn't change anything. Many people don't believe I'm the owner of Barbaria. But yes, the barbershop started out as a passion of sorts that I didn't know was a passion then, by the way. It was actually fueled by the constant visits that I would make when I was taking my hubby to the barbershop. I was those women. I would go and sit and wait for him to be massaged, and I look. There I am looking at the girl like, I'm watching you. But it was fueled by that. It was those constant visitations to various barbershops. And you know, like in the beauty industry, these guys move a lot. One barber is here today, the next day they're here, the next day they're here. So I'd always, and my husband always stuck with the same barber. All those years, from when I met him till today, he's being shaved by the same guy. And I would always ask him, why are you always in different places? And he would be like, you know, out here the struggle, so you find somebody who will pay you some money, you move. So it was in an attempt for growth that they do this moving. So for me, I used to sit down and be like, but why can't I bring this change that these guys are looking for? What are they looking for? Growth. What are they looking for? Innovation. And they're looking for a niche or standing out within the country. So one day I was seated just observing how he was finishing that shave. And I realized, okay, there are a few things that I could tweak if I was the owner in this shop. Probably the way that they are finishing, how their hygiene is, and basically the manner in which that they are doing that shave. I'm not a barber, of course, but I have a bit of know-how on hygiene especially, and skincare with my background in medical. So I sat and said, I think I can do it. And that's how Barbaria started. So we label ourselves as male grooming experts. So all grooming aspects relating to men, we cater to them. That means we treat your face. So by that we offer facials. We do nail treatment for both the hands and the feet. We also offer massage services. And lastly, we do hair. I want to call it, what do I call it? I don't want to say it's a wig for men, but that's what it is. So as with all women, I went to my hubby and told him, I think I figured out what else I want to do. And he's like, okay, so what else now? This is after doing ABCD 4 things. And I told him, you know what? I want to open a barber shop. Then he looked at me and he's like, well, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I want to open a barber shop. And the journey towards it, you pick your savings and you set up Barbaria Cuts, which is the initial shop that I set up. It started with me having 2 chairs, to 3 to 4. Now we have a 7-chair barber shop. First and foremost, of course, family. And I'll start with my husband. I'll mention him a lot because he's been very pivotal in the implementation and also the follow-through. Because like you mentioned, of course, there was a capital investment that you need to put into the business. And then there's also, he's been in business longer than I have, so the steps towards running a good business. Of course, your employees, my employees are very dear to me. I've worked so hard in ensuring that we train them and we make them see the vision that I have. And that has been the cornerstone towards why I think Barbaria succeeds, because they understand why Barbaria is there. So we were thinking of a creative name that would be catchy. The moment you hear it, it's unforgettable. So you go through Google and you look for names, and I was like, okay, it's a barber shop and it's a barbering area. That's how the name came, Barbaria. Yeah, so it's just an area where men come and get groomed, and that's how Barbaria, the name, came about. I'll definitely tell you one thing about Barbaria, and I won't tell you that the shave is any different from probably anywhere else you go. But one thing that stands out for us is the experience, and that's what we are selling. We are selling that experience that when you come here, you don't want to go anywhere else. I won't tell you like you'll get shaved and oh, it was one of a kind of a shave, but trust you me, it will be one of a kind of shave, because from the type of material to the type of environment that we were trying to get, that's how we are selling Barbaria experience. Definitely, there are many low moments. There are very many low moments in terms of when you're running a business, there are bills you have to pay. There are certain repairs that will all of a sudden come on you. And maybe you had put a particular budget from your profit, for example, and then now all of a sudden this contingency has come and you have to sort it out. Of course, this year we cannot go without mentioning the COVID pandemic, which left us actually closed for about 2 weeks in April. And it was disheartening to realize that something like this could have costed us this. And when you cap it all up, when it comes to business, there's always, at the end of the day, you want to make a profit. So it comes a time when there are no clients, for example, during COVID, and you're asking, how will I pay the rent? How will I pay this? How will I pay this? That's usually the lowest moment when it comes to the biashara or the business. Our clients are very loyal. So once we opened up, I remember picking the phone with my manager and we called each and every of our clients. So we are now open. We are doing A, B, C, D. Kindly come. And you know what? They're here now. So we are grateful for that. That work-life balance, we still try to understand it every day. But I say that God gives us women very many powers. But I've managed to switch it. When it's time for work, it's time for work. And my children know, by the way. So when I come from the hospital, they're like, Mommy, you have corona, you have to shower. Time to shower, time to play with them. When it's time to come to the barber shop, it's time to offer customer service, it's time for that. We do that. When it's time for me to spoil my husband, it is his time. So I've managed to segment my life in a way that when it's time for this, this has to be done. When I thought of running a barber shop, I mean, there were so many barber shops in town. What else was I going to bring different? But I started. It doesn't matter how many people will tell you that idea has been done. Think of something else. Start. It's from starting that you'll realize the gaps, and then now you'll come up with something that's amazing. So just start. I think I want to tell everybody that Barbaria, like I mentioned to you, it's a wonderful experience. And I'm not just saying it because it's my shop, but we've really boiled down to what customer service entails. How you feel when you walk through this door, coming in and coming out, there's a difference. So just come and experience it. Well, I always say that you can have more than one passion. I can never stop being a doctor. It doesn't matter how much. I will probably not work where I'm working currently, but being a doctor, that will never change. And running Barbaria, for me, it has a vision and there's somewhere where it is going. I don't think that will either stop. I look at a situation where we'll be mentoring young people to have skilled labor. They can enable themselves, and something like that, it can't just stop. So for me, I don't see either of them disappearing from my life. Our focus has been men, honestly. The boy child has been neglected, but also because for women, there's so much out there. For men, like I'll give you an example, men have balding issues, men have issues with their skin, but they may be shy about it. So we are kind of creating that haven for them, that this is the place to be. You have any male grooming issue, we are the experts.